Taction USA is your go-to source for crime scene and evidence collection supplies. Taction USA offers quality products all designed and tested by active duty first responders and investigators. With no minimum order, you can order as much or as little as you need. Ordering is fast with no hassle attached. Check out TactionUSA.com today and find the quality and quantity you need when it comes to crime scene and evidence collection supplies. That's TactionUSA.com, or look for the link in our show notes and Facebook posts.
Welcome to Crossing the Tape, our news segment. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Hilary, and I'm joined by
Brandon!
Today, we will bring you the unfortunate story of a murder of a California fire captain. But first, before we get into that, if you would please sign the crime scene log and join us.
So, unfortunate is one way to describe it, but
yes,
kind of nuts is another. So, we have California fire captain Rebecca Marody, who was 49 years old. She had told her wife, Yolanda, Marody, but she also went by her, I believe, name from her previous marriage. I'm going to give this my best shot. Olejniak. There's J's, there's C's, there's Z's, I don't know. But I believe it's pronounced Olejniak.
we'll go with Yolanda.
Yes, so Yolanda told Rebecca Marody that... No, I'm sorry, other way around. Rebecca told Yolanda that she wants their 2-year marriage to come to a quiet, amicable close. And then Yolanda had sent some messages to a friend of hers on the evening of February 18th that said, Becky came home and told me she was leaving me. She met someone else. We had a big fight. I hurt her. I'm sorry.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Those messages were sent allegedly a day after Rebecca Marody's body was found stabbed to death inside their home in Ramona, California. So, naturally, police started looking into surveillance video from the home. Their Ring camera caught Rebecca running out of the house while Yolanda, apparently, chased after her. And Rebecca can be heard saying, Yolanda, please, I don't want to die.
Oh
Which
dear.
is very damning for the defense.
Oh yeah.
When a person who is soon found dead shouts your name and says, I don't want to die.
Well, then I'm thinking if it was premeditated, which we don't know, but
Right.
if it was somewhat and maybe not. Maybe it was just in the heat of the moment, crime of passion. Not that that's an excuse at all.
No.
But if it was premeditated, then the footage probably would have been disabled. However, that makes me think it's not premeditated. It's probably in the heat of the moment.
Right, in a rage.
Is just as bad. I mean, it's bad all the way around.
Yeah, there's no good
No.
murder.
Of course not. That's not what I'm saying. No. But I'm just thinking from a legal standpoint, it's probably not premeditated.
Yes, yeah, if it was, there would have been, I would expect there to be a lot more precaution taken to not get caught on.
But we have seen,
It's true, we've seen some idiots put a lot of thought into doing something and immediately being caught.
Well, yeah, and for those of you who don't know our background, we come from crime scene side and active duty cops, so we've seen people mess up before.
Yeah, I've seen people with absolute foolproof plans fail at every time.
Well,
find out that I didn't think of any of this.
There's no perfect crime.
No, perfectly bad.
Mm-hmm.
The other person in the footage is heard saying, "You should have thought about that before."
Wow.
Which, yikes.
Which is terrible. What a terrible thing, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want to die. Well, you should have thought about that before you decided not to be married to me anymore.
Yikes.
I'm sure divorce can be devastating, but
yeah.
I don't reckon that's cause for murder.
I don't think there's any cause for murder.
No. Rebecca Marody, later shows up in the footage again with what looks like blood on her back, so she had apparently already been stabbed.
Yeah.
So the wild part is that Yolanda, she had previously pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter after the fatal stabbing of her estranged husband back in 2003. She was sentenced in 2004 to 11 years in prison after pleading guilty to that voluntary manslaughter. She served her time and was released.
Ugh.
I know a lot is said about, wow, California's legal system, but 11 years for a voluntary manslaughter.
That's more than our state, which we're not going to name.
In some cases, yes.
In some cases. Not all.
But then every once in a while you get a curveball where someone gets like 45 years for less than that.
Right.
You can never tell, but yes, things seem a little lenient for my taste, both here and California.
Right.
But she served her 11
Agreed.
years and was totally free and clear after stabbing a spouse to death. Domestic violence murder, 11 years is all that got her.
Ugh.
Now, Marody had served more than 30 years with CAL FIRE, mainly in Riverside County. Originally, she was a volunteer and worked her way all the way up to captain.
Which is impressive.
Yes, very admirable. Also recently helping with the Eaton fire in California. Yolanda was believed to have headed across the border into Mexico very soon after the stabbing took place.
Ironic.
Eventually, Mexican authorities hooked her up near a hotel in the Ferrocarril neighborhood of Mexicali, so she didn't get too deep into Mexico,
wasn't
but
too
she
far.
did cross the border. The initial court appearance, the judge ordered that Yolanda remain in custody without bail, if you can believe it, citing the 34 stabbing or slashing wounds that Rebecca Marody had sustained in the attack.
Crime of passion.
And yes, yeah, because I'm
Very much so.
I'm sure she was deceased before we hit
Oh,
34.
yeah. No,
but
it's usually how it goes.
yeah,
And
when you keep going, that's that blind rage. The judge also cited the violent criminal history because of that prior voluntary manslaughter conviction. So Yolanda has pled not guilty and is currently being held without bail. No shock there.
Right.
So this is one we'll probably have to bring you updates in due course.
Right.
But it's a real shame that someone who spent 30 years serving the public.
Right. And that's why I wanted to cover it. We're not covering it for the tragedy itself. We're covering it because Rebecca served, in public service so long.
Yeah, for decades.
It's a tragedy.
Only to meet such a terrible end.
Right.
At the hands of a jealous,
someone
angry
she
lover.
trusted.
Yeah. And also, unfortunately, it's a cautionary tale. You gotta know the person that you're with.
Right.
I'm not gonna cast any judgment, but if you're going to date or marry someone who has previously been convicted of manslaughter of a spouse,
You might want to know a little bit more.
yes, please proceed with due caution and take everything they say with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because the story they tell you may be a little different from the truth of the matter.
Exactly.
So, stay safe, stay informed.
Right. Do your homework.
Yes. Yeah. Not
Do
saying
your
you need to
homework.
be a creep, but do a little due diligence
Right.
when you're going to let someone into your life in that way.
Let's be low risk.
Yes.
Risk victim.
Make yourself a low-risk victim.
With that being said, please sign the crime scene log and please stay safe.
Yes. And we will be back again soon. Join us then, and so long.